Hello and welcome to Baatchit with Cafemutual. Today I'm joined by Rishi Kohli, CIO of JioBlackrock. Mr. Kohli, you've been telling me about how the response has been at the first SIF Summit of India.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you specifically about distributors and what they should pick in SIF. As we know, there are 4 categories in SIF. We have hybrid long short, equity long short, we have equity X top 100, and we also have asset allocator. So I wanted to understand how can distributors choose the correct category for their clients?
Yeah, so I think all these categories are very interesting, and it's good SEBI has allowed it because it just leads to more portfolio choices, right? That for portfolio allocation and proper portfolios to be constructed, you need all types of strategies. And so far in India, we've had equity and fixed income and nothing in between for a mutual fund investor. And now with all these choices, you do have that. So that is a great start. Within these categories, obviously, there's a lot of confusion between especially equity and hybrid.
Right.
And there, I think hybrid, at least the word is started getting out that, think of it as a replacement to fixed income plus, arbitrage plus. That is largely the positioning of most of the hybrid players, which means that with low risk, you can still get arbitrage plus 2-3% kind of returns. So that is a little easier to understand from an objective perspective. I think the real confusion that I'm hearing from all the distributors and even end clients is on the equity long short side. Because the moment, one talks about equity long short and says that, 25% you can do naked short, immediately, whether it's clients or advisors or distributors, one thinks that, now you can actually have higher returns than equity. But obviously, as we know, shorting and making returns is not easy. Anywhere in the world, even where hedge funds have been around for so long, you don't really make money by shorting separately or at a higher level than what you would make by equity. So firstly, you're 75% long. So you're already behind the 100% long equity.
Right.
And then 25% short, meaning you have to make much more returns than that, which is possible in short spans of time, but not for long periods of time. So which means that, it is not going to be easy to make equity plus returns. Equity minus is more likely. Obviously, the risk can be much lower. So when you look at risk reward, then it can be much better. But you can't have like lower risk and higher return all the time. Again, over long periods of time, it is possible. But the problem there is that, if you have a raging bull market and you have a 30% up here, these kind of strategies make 15 or 20 at best, not 35.
Okay.
When markets are flat or negative, then these will make 15, 10, 15, 20, whatever. And therefore, over time, outperform. So that is a little confusing for people, I think. But hybrid, I think, is better. And hybrid is actually the more important need for all portfolios, I think. Because that middle gap that you're getting almost equity-like returns, maybe slightly lower, 9, 10, 11%. But with fixed income kind of risk, 1, 2, 3%. That, I think, is a need for any portfolio.
Okay, interesting. And following up on that, since you spoke on hybrid, we know of Prism SIF.
Yes.
And we know it's going to be available in regular plan for mutual fund distributors.
Yes.
So, what's your plan in terms of what strategy the fund will be following? And what's your idea? What's the idea behind allowing this to be a regular plan? What's the rationale?
Sure. So, firstly, Prism SIF from our platform is going to be a hybrid fund. And it's related to what I was just explaining, that hybrid fund is more important need of the hour, fits into all portfolios potentially. You're getting, just under equity returns and obviously much higher than fixed income or arbitrage with the equity taxation. So it's sort of the best of both worlds. And you have the sophisticated strategies, which so far was in AIFs only, right? So best of all 3 worlds, basically. So which is why we are launching in that. And plus, we have the Aladdin platform, we have the right risk tools to be able to analyze, because then we are saying that we'll keep the risk very low and still get absolute return. So therefore, risk management becomes the most important piece in this, which we are able to using this platform, which is not easy otherwise. And thirdly, we have a multi-strategy approach. So we will have what is globally called collars. In India, the people talk more about covered calls, but basically think of it as covered calls with the tail risk being fully hedged by buying puts for the downside. That is what is globally called collars. So we will have collars, which means that our risk on that will be much more tightly hedged than most other players. We will also have merger arbitrage. Now everyone does special sits, but usually it is done when, there's a record date gets announced and only for the next 1 or 2 months that are remaining. We do merger arbitrage in a manner that we have some positions and participation throughout the entire year. So it's a very different way of implementing it, which no one else really does it. And that comes from the background of me and my team who have done such strategies in the past. And then we also have a little bit of participation in REITs and InvITs, purely from a yield sort of play. So these are the 4 building blocks. Then obviously arbitrage, normal IPO flips, normal special sits. That's similar to everyone else. We do more as a cash management sort of tool for whatever little bit of cash we sit on. But the core building blocks are these 4 strategies, which I think is much more highly differentiated compared to most other players. And the advantage is that all these 4 strategies are very lowly correlated to each other, and maybe even negatively correlated in some cases. So therefore, when you combine them, each of them are low risk to begin with. And then when you're combining different strategies which are low risk, which give those low risk at different points in time, then obviously collectively the risk becomes even lower. So that's the theme on which we are playing. And I think that's the only way to keep the risk low.
Okay, well, what you said makes sense, and I'm sure our audience appreciated that explanation.
Thanks. And on the second question you had on the regular plans being introduced now, so, we've always said in public forums and other events and media as well, that we have a direct first, digital first approach, right? We've always said that, which means that distribution was always sort of part of the plan. Because we never said digital only, direct only, right? We said first. And therefore, we spent the first 9 to 12 months to build the digital piece, because obviously digital DNA is something which is not common, not easy on an AMC side. And you are hiring people from other AMCs, right? So you need the digital DNA to seep in to be able to actually effectively do that. Once that has stabilized, then obviously you can go and do other things, and which is why we are starting regular plans and interacting with distributors now. Secondly, we wanted to be thoughtful about which product we start with. SIF seemed the right one from 2 aspects. One is from our readiness, because obviously if we have smaller sales team, smaller ops team, because of being digital and direct so far, then to be able to tap into distribution, we need to add to that team, right? Because in regular mutual funds, you will have thousands and thousands of distributors. Right. But for SIF, you really have 200 to 300, distributors who have the certification, who are interested in the space. So therefore, handling 200, 300 with the current team is possible for me, firstly. And in the interim, we will hire more people in the sales and ops side so that we can handle larger number of distributors. So that was the first thing. And second, SIF, because there are more complex strategies, so you need the advisors and distributors in between to be able to explain that to clients. So from both those aspects, it made sense to start with SIF.
All right, understood. And the question is, right now you started regular plan for SIF. Can we expect regular plans for all mutual funds and upcoming mutual funds from JioBlackrock?
Yeah, so long-term goal is that. Obviously, there's a process of internal board approvals and SEBI changes, etc. So we are sort of in that mode. Not sure of the exact timelines, because, these board discussions and SEBI discussions can obviously elongate, but definitely part of the plan. So the whole goal was, like I explained, why we are starting with SIFs. Post that, we would like to go into other regular plans. Timelines will just depend on these internal things, which we can update everyone as it moves along.
Got it. And finally, what scope do you see in the distribution community for SIF?
I think the scope is tremendous. Whatever conversations I've been having today, I think a lot of people here today are already looking at it from an asset allocation perspective. And that is the right approach. We need to move beyond product level comparisons and conversations to portfolio allocation, portfolio level solutions. And many people here today are already thinking in that direction. And whoever is not, I think was not doing it because they didn't have anything between equity fixed income. Now that you have these SIFs, I think for them also to start thinking from a portfolio level is easier now. And that is the learning, education awareness, which I think people want to learn, and we would love to, pass on that as well.
All right. Well, thank you for answering.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on the show. That's it for this time. And we'll catch you next time with many more leaders in the industry. Goodbye.